If a picture paints 1,000 words,
Cardinal Fang! Fetch the comfy chair.
Yes, that's right. Pull up your comfy chair, grab a coffee, sit down and watch.
During the meanwhilest... No.
Oh. Well, hello. It's Dexter and me. And it's the day after our little trip down to Park Mill on Gower. And I've just printed off this image on some lovely cotton, Photospeed cotton etching paper. I am really very happy with it. I was going to find a frame for it now. Anyway, this picture tells a story, doesn't it? It tells a story of, you know, it's springtime. There's bluebells, there's wild garlic. You know, the trees are coming into whatever they come into at spring, and you know, there's a low sun casting shadows across the scene. And when I first started taking landscape pictures many years ago now, and because I was quite serious about stuff, you know, researching the subject, and I read about or looked at other landscape photographers' works and read a lot about landscape artists. I'm a really big fan of Turner. And my first thought was, when somebody said, you know, your pictures have got to tell a story, my first thought was,
What you talking about, Willis?
I got to admit, I thought it was all a little bit
pretentious. Moi?
But you know, there is no pretense, and with a little bit of thought, you can make your landscape images tell a story. And what I'm going to do in this video is hopefully impart some of the I don't want to say steps, but some of the things I look for when I'm making a landscape image, so that I can tell a story. Now, with certain other genres of photography, thinking about things like, you know, street or documentary, then, you know, the story is fairly obvious. And if we have a look at this photograph here, which is one of my favourite photos of all time, I don't even know who took it, but I love this picture so much because, you know, it reminds me of my bike racing days, and when Lisa used to come and hand drinks up for me. But the story behind this picture is quite obvious. You know, it's a rider in a bike race, and somebody is handing him, you know, a drink up, and it's a lovely image and a lovely story. But it also makes you think. It makes you think, well, who is he? What race is it? Is he winning and off the front, or is he struggling and off the back? You know, what's in that bottle? It looks like a bottle of wine to me. Would you have a bottle of wine in the middle of a race? And that just says to me that, yes, a picture can tell us a story, but it hasn't got to be, you know, chapter and verse, because you can't really tell, you know, a chapter and verse story, even though a picture, as Telly Savalas said,
paints 1,000 words.
In the landscape genre, though, it may not seem that simple. Well, I don't think so anyway. And this is my channel and my video, so... but to my mind, a good image will both inform you and leave you wondering a little bit. So it's as important what's left out of your frame as what's in it, if you want to tell a story. And in that respect, good image making is just like good writing or good filmmaking. It makes you think. But when it comes to a landscape image, how do you get that image to tell a story? Well, we can use the compositional and exposure tools at our disposal to help convey what we were feeling when we pressed that shutter, and to help convey what's happening both inside and outside the frame. The old adage, and Telly, it does hold true, a picture can be worth 1,000 words. But it can also be useless if we don't think about why we are taking a picture as well as what we are taking a picture of. It's probably easier if I use some of my landscape examples. In this first one of a wind turbine, how rural, I know. I waited until the sheep were in the frame, as I felt that their inclusion cemented the location of the giant turbine without having to show the wider environment around it. I mean, it's obvious it's in, you know, a farm type environment. Also, it was a still evening with no wind, and had it been blowing, I would have employed a slower shutter speed to show the motion of the turbine's propellers, and that would again have told a story of, you know, what the conditions were on that night when I took the picture. In this second image of Sgwd Gwladys in waterfall country, it's obvious that the subject is the waterfall. But I used a wider composition in this case and a slightly longer exposure to highlight the drama of the scene, with the river in full flood, both coming into and exiting the frame of the composition. The driftwood too is a really important element. I mean, where is it from? How did it get there? It must have been a heck of a storm that put it there, right? A more obvious example is of this tractor on my sister's farm. Now, the really important storytelling element in this photograph is not actually the tractor, but it's, what do you think? Well, it's the hay bales. They, along with the overall warmth of the image, tell you that it's a working farm and that it's a lovely sunny evening at harvest time. Without the hay bales, it's just a tractor in a field. Now, this shot of the famous lighthouse at Mumbles fails as a storytelling one for me for one important reason. The light isn't on. Without it, it's albeit quite a pleasing image of just a building on a rock in admittedly great light. But with the beam lit, like in this much darker image, it tells a completely contrasting story of a structure that actually helps to save people's lives. You start to think about the seafarers who have witnessed this beacon over the decades it's been there. Where were they from? Where were they going? You know, how many lives has it helped us save? Finally, in this image of Scott's Pit near my home, I've used a high contrast black and white technique to give the old building a really foreboding and industrial feel, a real sort of dark satanic mill look, if ever there was one. The dark dramatic sky also helps to highlight this feeling even more, and filling the frame with the building conveys its scale and grandeur, so no negative space there. Remember though that not every picture needs to tell a story to work. Often the picture that just documents something or some place is successful just for that reason. But I find that the more interesting images are the ones, you know, that tell a little story and make you think a little bit. They are the ones that tell a story while leaving sufficient blanks for the viewer to fill in. And I think with, you know, storytelling images, there is also a reliance on the viewer to look at an image more carefully rather than just look at it and think, oh, that's a pretty view, you know, and move on to the next one. That's why I like printing images. When you've got something tactile to hold, it also holds your attention, I think, for longer, rather than just, you know, swiping images on a screen. I think when you look at a printed image, especially one as nice as this one, which I'm really very, very proud of, I think you can tell, that holds your gaze for longer and makes you really think about the elements in the picture. Now, as I said before, I'm no teacher, and but I hope that I have given you some sort of insight into what I look to do to make my images tell a story. Sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. So sometimes they succeed, sometimes they fail in it. It doesn't matter though. It's not essential for every single image to have to tell a story. One thing I would suggest you do though is, you know, have a look at some of your favourite landscape photographers and artists as well, and see if you can tell what their thought process was when they were, you know, making or painting that image. What story are they trying to tell? Anyway, I haven't come across as all sort of, you know, pretentious and anything, but that certainly isn't the case. But there is sometimes a little bit of a myth surrounding, you know, how do you tell a story with a landscape image? And I hope that this little video has helped in some regard. Now, this is my opinion as well. Photography is art. Art is subjective. and a different photographer will have a different viewpoint on how to tell a story in their image. But this is, as I said before, this is my channel and my video, and it's my story. Okay, well, that's it for this week from Dexter and me. We will be back on Tuesday with the promised review of my my Shimoda Action X50 camera bag. The excitement is palpable, truly. Anyway, stay safe, stay well, look after yourselves, your loved ones, and your pets, and, you know, tell a story, print it out, tell a story. Thanks for watching, and we will see you on Tuesday. All the very best. Bye-bye.
If a picture paints 1,000 words, then why can't I paint you? The words will never show the you I've come to know. If a face could launch 1,000 ships, then where am I to go? There's no one home but you. You're all that's left me to. And where